Okay, good morning, everybody. We are in Yeshiva Or Tamimim, located in the holy city of Kfar Chabad, and where the Rebbe put it. We're now learning the last paragraph, paragraph 4, Daled, of the Maamarim, which is entitled Moshe Kibul Torah Sinai in Taf Shin, Beis, in the Maamarim of Taf Shin, Beis, which translates to 1942, said by the 6th Lubavitcher Rebbe, Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak. We're talking about a person fixing himself up, fixing up your personality, fixing up your natural self, your animal self, making yourself into a godly person, the person that God intended you to be. So first of all, you have to believe in God, and after that, you have to believe in the Torah. Then the fun begins. Then you have to start to live your life according to the Torah, action, speech, and thought. Then the fun begins. You have to serve God with love. You have to love God. You have to fear God. Well, fearing God might not be so hard. You have to serve God with happiness. That's not easy at all. How do you do this? It means that you have to be happy. Happy means you can't be divided up. You can't live in a monastery or something like that, or separate yourself from the world, or hate everybody. You have to really be open and free. How can you be open and free if you can't drive your motorcycle on Shabbos like you want to, and you can't eat anything you want to, and you can't do what you want to, and you can't marry who you want to, and you can't dress the way you want to? So the answer to this is that you have an animal soul, and your animal soul is you. That's your natural soul. Your natural soul, somehow or other, can come to realize that it is a creation of God, and that it's not just that it was created, 5,000 years ago, and when the first man was created, or 5 trillion years ago, or 6 trillion years ago, or whatever scientists say. No, it's being created every second. The whole world is being created every second. In fact, the whole world is being created every second just by, if we want to call it, a ray of godliness. And that ray of godliness is created by a higher ray of godliness. And that ray of godliness is created by even a higher ray of godliness, which is called God's speech, God's emotions, God's intellect, God's will. All these are just higher and higher aspects of God that create me and you and all the other 6 billion people in the world, not counting all the animals and the fishies, the bugs. God is creating all these things. I read in some place in the National Geographic that there's 20,000 different species of beetles in the Amazon jungle. Whoever would count a thing like that, but for sure the guy whoever counted it, did not make much trouble in life, because he didn't have much time. 20,000 different types of bugs. He counted them all. You'd think you'd forget once in a while. You remembered all these bugs. It's pretty amazing. He must have stuck them all up on the bug collector. What do they call them? There must be some sort of a name for that. There's butterfly collectors. Anyway, that's pretty amazing. God creates everything all the time. He says that He creates everything, that's amazing. That the God creates everything all the time, that's the lowest talent of God, if you want to call it, that He creates everything. God is much more real than that He creates everything. So when you start to think about this, is it really real? You start to get excited. Then you start to get excited intellectually. Then eventually you can get excited not just intellectually, but also emotionally. Then it can even carry into your day-to-day life, and you can have love of God. It means that your animal soul, your natural soul, actually comes to love God, to appreciate God, to be happy to do what it says in the Torah, to do what God says. Because you realize the Torah comes from God. Just like the world is being created every instant, the Torah is being created every instant. And just like God is above time, the Torah is above time. Above time doesn't mean it's outside of time. It means that time is just like one little aspect inside of the Torah. Or if you want to say in another another way, the Torah is not part of the world. Rather, the world is part of the Torah. The Torah is not just another book in the library, which is true. It is a book in the library. Go into the library and ask, I would like to take out a copy of the 5 books of Moses. They'll give it to you. It's a book in the library. But on the other end, that's if you look at it from our point of view. But if you look at it from God's point of view, the Torah is not part of the world. The world is part of the Torah. Of course, the Torah is also in the world. Change the world, and it should be inside of us also. Okay, so by means of our transforming or teaching, training our animal soul to be what God intended it to be, as that raises up even our godly soul. The Rebbe says, how can it be that the animal soul raises up the godly soul? Just say, animal soul is like a job that the godly soul has. Right? It's like, yeah, it's one thing you have to do, but the main thing is you sit and you learn Torah mitzvahs, not that you fix up your personality so you don't get angry or depressed or have desires or lose it once in a while. That's not the main thing of the Torah. Getting yourself together is just in order to help you learn Torah. Says the Rebbe, no. The main reason the Torah came down here is in order to fix up your animal soul and eventually to fix up the whole world. Why, says the Rebbe, why? What's the big deal with the animal soul? Why is the animal soul so powerful? So the Rebbe went through a whole explanation of what do we were talking about yesterday? 2 spiritual levels called? No. 2 T's. And you can remember it. Tikkun and Tau. Wonderful. Tikkun and Tau. What's higher? Good guess, but totally wrong. Tohu. Tohu is higher. Do you remember what was the nature of Tohu? Do you remember? Tohu has a lot of light and a very small amount of vessels. Kobe, you are hot today. Woo! This is a big day for me. I have no idea how happy this makes me. Okay, hine, behold. You do it is known. Okay, be with me. You do it is known. She did that. Hanefesh Abam is the animal soul. Shorsha, its source. Bechinas, from the level of Tohu. The animal soul comes from the level of Tohu. Rak only Shenafla, it fell. Derech Nefila, in a way of falling. Vishvira, and breaking. Remember I told you yesterday about the breaking of the vessels? Do you remember that? Breaking. But the animal soul, it came down here not in a gradual way so you can see its source. It came by the way of breaking. But Shorsha, its source, who is Mibechinat, from the level of Tohu. And Tohu, Shekodam, is before Latikun Tikun. Al came, therefore, Al Yadei, by means of Ha'avodah, work, the Nefesh Elokis, of the godly soul, by means of working with the godly soul, shemitakenet, that it fixes, et hanefesh habahamis, the animal soul, na'aseh, there is made, al yedei zeh, by means of this, by means of the godly soul, working on the animal soul, there is made, al yedei zeh, by means of this, aliyah gadola, a big raising up, bin nefesh elokis, in the godly soul. Shemeirim, that it shines, ba, in it, in the godly soul. There shines in it, mibechinet, from the level of oros, lights, to tohu, of tohu. The shine in the godly soul shines the lights of tohu, shehu, which are bechin, at the level of or atzmi, an essential light, or atzmi, an essential light, shalamayla, which is above. Write this down, please, Kobe. Which is above mi bechin, at the level of kalim, vessels. So above the level of vessels. Let me maybe give you an example. I'll give you an example. The king's son goes insane, and he takes off all of his garments, all of his clothes, and he starts running around naked. He runs away, and nobody recognizes him, right? Recognizes him. Somebody, if the police come along and they say he shouldn't be like this, he runs away from the police. He realizes he's going to get put in jail if he doesn't have any clothes. So he puts on some old rags. He finds some old rags in the garbage can, some old rags, and he puts them on. And he runs around and he goes and gathers money up and goes to faraway places, and who knows what it is. So nobody knows that this insane person is really the king's son. He was supposed to be the next king. He's the prince. He's got to be the king. So if someone can come back, if someone can come, you listening, Kobe? Listening to this story? So someone can come. Do you get it? A king's son goes crazy. You with me? Takes off his clothes. Now if someone can come, and let's say the king puts out a reward. He says, anyone who can make my son normal and bring him back, I'm going to give a big reward. So people do it, and they say, man, this is not worthwhile. It's just a big waste of time. You can't make this guy normal. Maybe we can put him in a cage. Maybe we can knock him out. Maybe we can give him drugs or something like that so he gets a little bit quick. But to make him normal without drugs, without anything, can't do it. It's just too much trouble, too much problems. Right? Finally, there comes along one wise person, and he figures out a way to work with this crazy son. He figures it's worthwhile, and he works with the crazy son until finally he makes him normal. Right? Makes him normal. Now what happens? First of all, that wise man gets a big reward. The king will give him a reward. You saved my son. But second of all, even more, now the country has a king, right? The prince is back. Nobody can just take a regular person off the street and say, you're going to be the king. A king has certain qualities that he's ruler. He knows how to make the right decisions. And this is the king's son. He's restored him to be normal. This is even higher than you could expect, right? Here, what did you start off? You started off with a crazy man. Everybody wanted to keep away from him. And now, all of a sudden, when you transform him, the king gives you a big reward. That's the mushal. What's the nimshal? What do you think, Kobe? I made this up myself. What do you think? What do you think it is? Why did I make up this crazy story? Maybe it's not even a good story. No idea? Come on, you were doing so good in the beginning. Come on. Akiba knows. Wait, give a guess. What is it? Listen to what he says. Go on.
Perhaps we
Who is we?
Us.
The animal soul.
Animal soul.
The animal soul is like the prince.
Yes.
Right? The godly soul is this wise man.
Yes.
You understand? The king is Hashem. The king sends down the godly soul, which is the wise man, puts it inside of the animal soul, which is like the crazy prince. This is not a whole, I'm just giving an example. I don't know if it's even accurate. I'm just making this up. You understand? But if you succeed in making the crazy prince normal, you get a tremendous reward. Who gets the reward? The wise man. Who is the wise man in the story? I just finished saying? Elokis, the godly soul. So the godly soul gets a reward if it makes the animal soul normal, the way it's supposed to be. If you reveal the potential which is in your animal soul, because you have a potential in your animal soul to help the world. The animal soul wants to do good things, but it just also wants to be selfish. Wants to do it. Doesn't know what good is. Right? Good means eating a good steak. That's what's good. Or good means doing what God wants. Different definitions of good. Right? This is a good steak. This is a bad steak. I remember a guy coming. I don't want to go into the details. He was talking about, there's different types of drugs. This was good heroin. This was bad heroin. And all the heroin is bad. What do you mean it's good heroin? Right? This is a good deal. A good deal. I made $1 million in that deal. A good deal. He brought in drugs from cocaine or something. He made a good deal. That's good. The whole thing is bad. The whole subject is bad. What do you mean good? It's a whole different definition of what's good and bad. The animal soul says good and bad means what's good for me. I made a lot of money. What difference does it make? I brought in heroin. I stole money. A thief. Things, he stole a lot of money. It was a good day. That was a good night. Right? That was a good heistu, whatever you want. Right? That was a good, right? That was a good one. Wow, we stole $20 million from that old guy. That was a really good night. I'll never forget that. What do you mean good? It wasn't good. To a thief, that's good. The godly soul comes down and explains the animal soul what's good and what's bad. It's good. The animal soul says, what's good for me is good. I don't know what you're talking about. A good steak, a bad steak. What do I care if it's kosher or not? The godly soul comes down and says, no, good means doing what Hashem wants. The steak has to be kosher, and then you have to do kosher things with it, and say kosher things with that energy, and think kosher thoughts with that energy. It's a whole different world. Right? That's a whole different world. When a godly soul convinces the animal soul, it's like taking the crazy prince and making him normal. The king gives you a big reward. You get a big reward. Not only that, you have a new king. You have a new king. You can rule the country properly. Right? If your animal soul does what it's supposed to be, it benefits not just you, the whole world benefits. Everyone benefits. Because that's what God wants. What does He want? God wants this world to be a good place. That's the thing of Abraham. Right? Look in the Bible. You see Abraham did miracles. Didn't do miracles. Right? Abraham had tremendous successes. Abraham just tried to make this world a place. That's the whole story. He was the first man. All that he thought about was making this world a good place according to God's standards. That's all he wanted. Whatever God said he did to do. Okay, let's go. That's what it's written, right? Be with us. Fourth line down. That's what it's written. The days of our life, Bohem in them, Shivim Shana, 70 years. What we say this is also in the prayer is one of the Psalms. Right? We say it on Shabbos in the davening also. Yamei, the days Shenotenu of our lives, Bohem in them, Shivim Shana, 70 years. This word Bohem is extra. It should have just said Yamei Shenotenu, the days of our life, Shivim Shana, 70 years. This is Bohem. How did King David throw this Bohem in there? What's the Bohem? Bohem, you with me, Kobe? Bohem, Lashon, an expression. Write it down, Kobe. You know this. Bohem, Lashon, is an expression of Behema. Hainu, namely, Shenef v'Shabahamis, that the animal soul comma, or semicolon. Shenitan la'adam. I think this period is in the wrong place. Should be after Nefesh Ba'amis. Shenitan, that was given. La'adam, to man. Ayin 70. Shana, years. Levarer, to purify. To refine. Ulataken, and to fix. At the Nefesh Ba'amis, the animal soul. 70 years. What if you live to 72? What do you do after that? Says the Rebbe, 70 years doesn't really mean only 70 years. People that are 80 years and 90 years have the same Yetzer Hora also. They have the same. You have to. Why did it say 70 years? Why did King David say 70 years? 70 years. Ayin Shana, 70 years. Who is? It's like the ayin we had before. Remember in Shema Yisrael? Ayin. What was the ayin? Remember? What did the ayin stand for? 70. 70 what? Why 70? Remember Akiva?
Shema. Shem ayin.
What's the ayin stand for?
70.
What?
70.
Starts off at 7, and then it becomes 70, and then it becomes a big 70. Remember?
The 7 Sefiros, the lower.
That's the emotions.
Emotion.
The 7 emotions. Okay. What is the 70? 7 emotions times what? What's 7? How do you get from 7 to 70? Multiply 7 by 10. Why 10?
The 10 Sefiros.
Because each one of the 7 emotions has 10 sfirot in it. You know what the 10 sfirot are, right? Neged, Zion, Midos. That what King David said, you have 70 years to fix up your life, doesn't mean 70. The 70 refers to Zion, the 7 Midos, emotions. Bechin at the level of Zion, 7 Malachim, kings, Kadma'in. I'll say though, they always translate it this way. Primordial. What primordial means? You know what primordial means? What?
Before anything has a form, it's called primordial.
Yeah, I guess amorphous is a form, I guess so. Primordial means before anything. Before anything was created, primordial. The 7 primordial kings. Kings. Zion, Malachim, kings. What are these 7 primordial kings? This is talking about the 7 emotions of Tohu. Tohu came before Tikkun. That's why it's called primordial. Al Yadein, by means of Habirur, purifying, Nefesh Ba'amis, by means of purifying your animal soul, which your animal soul is 7 emotions of Tohu. The Nefesh Ba'amis, you with me, Kobe? You see where we are? Na'aseh, there is made Mi'ayin Shana, from 70 years. Right? You know this? Ayin, from Ayin Shana, from 70 years. Ayin, what's Ayin mean? Eye, your eyeball. Eyes are called Ayin. Lashon Riyah, seeing. You can take the 70 years, which corresponds to the 7 emotions of the animal soul, and make it into a eye. What does it mean, an eye? An E-Y-E. An E-Y-E. What's E-Y-E spelled? Eye. The eyes are seeing. V'hu inyan, and this is the topic of hu inyan, and this is the topic of ki, because ayin ba'ayin, eye to eye, yir'u, they will see. This is talking about in the days of the Mashiach, that people will see godliness eye to eye. Can you see God eye to eye? Is this possible, Colby? Well, that's what's going to be. You will see God eye to eye. so to speak. Yeah, I mean, we are being created by God. God is giving us everything we have. So God can do anything He wants. Why do your eyes see? Why do people's eyes see? You know why they see? Nobody knows why they see. No one knows where it comes from. Even the biggest, whatever it is, what do they call the evolutionists? Let's say that people came from protozoas or from organic compounds or something like that. They can't explain where seeing comes from. Seeing is a sense. Where does hearing come from? Who knows, right? Hearing, according to the evolutionists, hearing and seeing and feeling, right? These are senses that were developed in order to survive. How did they get developed? Who developed them? Well, you know, the animals just happened to have seeing, so they succeeded better. Well, how did they happen to have seeing? How did it happen? What? Mutations happen. Where do the mutations come from? I understand, but what time causes the mutations? It just happens, you know, things happen. It just happens all of a sudden, right? One mutant said, hey, I can see. You guys, can you see? Everybody says, hey, can you guys hear? Hey, can you guys talk? You can't talk. You can't see. I'm the king protozoa. Huh? I'm going to tell everybody what to do. He's just leading all the other protozoas around. They're all a bunch of blind, right? He makes them all slave labor. They start digging for diamonds and stuff like that. Until finally, what happens? He says, this is great. Nobody sees. All of a sudden, he hears, hey there, good looking. I said, wow, this is a female protozoa. You can see also? That's right. And I've been looking for someone like you. Right? Just like you. You can see, you can hear. You can talk too. Yeah, wow, this is great. This is fantastic. I got no competition also. Right? We're the only two protozoas in the world. And that was Adam and Eve. They were the first two, the primordial protozoas.
They screwed it up.
Huh?
They screwed it up.
And they messed the whole thing up. Right? Why do you eat from this apple? What's an apple? Try it. You like it. All of a sudden, all these millions of animals come up and wild beasts, and then, right? Good apple, huh? It's all mutation. It's the mutation apple. Mutations are the apple, the fruit that Adam ate, is another name for cosmic rays. Cosmic rays is what causes the mutations. I thought you would know that, Kobe. Cosmic rays come shooting through, and they affect the DNA of these the organic compounds, and that's what makes seeing and hearing. And it happens to be that a couple saw and hear, and that's the whole story. Says the Rebbe, good, you can believe that if you want, no problem. But we don't believe that. We believe that the world is created, that there's a purpose to the world. There's a cause to everything. I was just reading last night. When I'm in the bathroom, I have to admit, I'm in the bathroom, so I have this thing here. You can look at Wikipedia. So I looked up Spinoza. You know Spinoza? You can read about these. Yeah, you can read. That's very good things. I've read a lot of I read about Adler. Spinoza, sure. Anyway, so Spinoza, he had this idea. He's like the father of modern philosophy. He's like, so he has this idea that there's no free will, there's no soul. There's no soul. Everything is determined by what? By nature. Nature determines everything. You can really never take a stand or change things or anything because everything is just natural, right? No matter what you do, it was already predetermined that that's the way it was going to be anyway. Everybody's saying, wow, this is a philosopher here. This is the guy we're going to follow. He's like revered and they make statues out of him. You know. Good. Okay, of course, the obvious question is, how is he sure that he's right? How does he know that he's right? If there's no good and bad, so there's really no right and wrong. So how does he know he's right? How is he so sure that because he has a feeling that he's sure that maybe his feelings are wrong? His feeling, even according to his theory, right? There is no truth. So that statement, there is no truth. Is that true? Yeah, of course that's true. So then, this is truth. Well, Maybe it's not true. So then that's not true. So no matter what it is, that doesn't work. So this whole theory doesn't work out. But that's what if you believe there is no God and there's no purpose, so good, you can live life like that. There's no problem. You can. It's good. But it comes out to be self-contradictory, right? The whole thing comes out to be self-contradictory, which if you want to contradict yourself, you can, but don't try to put it on everybody else. You can do anything you want to. You want to take a hammer and smash your hand, you can do it also. Says the Rebbe, but if you really accept that God is creating the world, then it starts getting difficult, because then you got all sorts of obligations, and you got to fix yourself up, you got to fix up your personality. So ready, Kobe? Here we go. Al Yedei, by means of birur nefesh ba'amis, you get seeing. You can see the animal soul. Where do we see this? The Alter Rebbe said to a businessman, "I envy you. I just learn about godliness all the time. You see it. You see it. People come into your store, and you see how God brings you, right, miraculous parnas, a livelihood." All the time. Of course, you don't have to see. You can say it's just luck. But if a person believes in Hashem, you start to see all sorts of really amazing things from the world. The world can show you, experience can show you things that all the books in the world can't show you. But you have to look. You have to know what to look for. But who? And this is the thing of ayin ba'ayin yeru. That's what it means. We'll see eye to eye God. Ria, the seeing, the la'atir in the future. Okay, be with us. Kobe. First word in line. Shiyiyeh, there will be bebechinas, in the level of mehut, the being, the atzmut, and the essence of or and sof, of the infinite light of God. Shezeu, that this is al yedei, by means of ha'avodah, the service, bibirur, in refining, purifying, the zibuch, and refining your nefesh. In other words, don't abandon like this. Yea, so in God, there is God said, Moses will not see me, ha'adam, a person, v'chai, and live. God said, people, you cannot see me and live. Of course, the Omer is on the right side. In your life, when your soul is in a role you cannot see. Although, but and when you die, when your soul leaves your body, you can see God. It means you have to actually die.